All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to fight at Unified MMA 48, and that transpires on December the 16th. An intriguing welterweight bout going on with Poulter and Julius Trimmeliti getting out there and testing skills, and happy to be talking to Bobby as always. How's it going there, man? And everything going well with like the training preparations ahead of this particular one?
Yeah, the training prep has been great. It's nice to have such a long time to prepare for it. So it's been a solid 10 to 12 week camp. So training is going well. All I'm doing is training. It's literally my full-time job now. So I'm just happy to be doing what I love. And so far everything's been great. You know, relatively injury-free this camp, which is always a nice change.
Yeah, and just briefly touching on the last fight there, because it really seemed to be a big one for you. Like, you described it as a success, and you got the first round TKO in your hometown, and you were saying it was like a dream come true to be able to like compete in front of so many family and friends. Can you just kind of talk about how that moment felt? It seemed like a pretty gratifying win that you had there when you defeated Nelly Thompson there at BTC 16.
Yeah, man, that like I said, it was a dream come true to be able to fight in front of all my friends and family, and like have a picture photo. Everyone dreams about getting that first round knockout. We're home hard for it, and my God, and the feelings were just it was surreal. I didn't realize it was happening until it was over, and then as soon as that was over, I was ready to chase the next one. But that was great. It was an awesome fight, especially to fight a guy who's got as much experience and been on the bigger stages, such as Nelly. He's a tough guy, and I got a lot of respect for him. So, I wanted to go out there. I had a lot to prove, especially coming off of a loss. And I feel like I proved it, but I feel like it was so short that I really didn't get the actual time to prove it exactly what I wanted to do, and that's what this next fight's going to be able to give me the opportunity to do.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're talking about how you enjoyed kind of getting a longer camp for this one, but it almost sounded like maybe like a quicker turnaround might have been good after a performance like that. Like, how do you feel? Did things kind of play out in kind of like an ideal way, and as far as like getting to have like a longer camp, heal up a bit, or would a quicker turnaround have sufficed, just being that it was like that kind of quicker kind of performance you were talking about there?
So actually, I was supposed to have a quick turnaround right after that fight, but so I broke my hand in that Nelly fight. But one of the only few punches I hit him with, I must have busted my hand. I got an X-ray after. I had doctors on. It was actually a lot more complicated of an injury than I thought. I thought 4 or 5 weeks and I'd be back at it, but it took about 10 weeks before I could hit anything. So that was game changing, because I had already agreed to fight September 24th against Chris Chapman. For BTC, and then so I was going to take that fight with only 2 weeks of training, so I wanted that quick turnaround, and I took it, but then Chris Chapman pulled out because of surgery as well. So it was kind of a weird tale of events. Broke my hand in a fight that lasted 2 minutes, and then took another fight with only 2 weeks of training, and then he ended up getting injured. So not ideal, but everything plays out the way it's meant to be, and hoping to get back in the cage and then get to fight him next.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a certain level of activity, even like a non-MMA context. Like, I saw that you had a good time there at the all-submission grappling event there. You were in the advanced middleweight division, and it looks like you brought home gold. How was that kind of experience? And, I guess how much crossover, confidence / I guess galvanizing of skills does that do for the MMA game? Or are they kind of separate, kind of compartmentalized things almost?
Yeah, IASC was a great tournament. It was a lot of fun at Extreme Couture, but I think that for that was more of, I treated it like a training session. Some guys will peak for competitions, they cut weight. I just treated it just like any other day of training. Because, at the end of the day, grappling tournament is very, very different than an MMA fight. But it was very nice to go out there, considering I hadn't done a tournament in 4 years, and my first time in an advanced division, and then clean the house. So that was a big confidence booster. But we all know that MMA grappling is very different than traditional jiu-jitsu grappling. So I'm just trying to keep my head on straight and making sure that that was great. But my pride will be coming up in this fight, not in the tournaments.
Yeah, for sure, and definitely a fight I want to get into, but just one kind of like a side kind of thing that I wanted to briefly touch on there before we get into that, because I noticed that you recently got signed with like the Ruby SE team, just getting represented by Daniel Rubenstein now. It seems like a relatively newer kind of arrangement there, but so far so good. How's all of that been? That seems like exciting news.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I had a few conversations with Jake Sage, who is my now manager for Ruby. He's one of their agents, and I just had one conversation with him, and he offers me information that even my coaches sometimes can't give me. A second opinion, especially as somebody who's working with high-level athletes, is awesome. And it's been great. So I'm looking forward to what that relationship brings in the future.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to get into this fight too, because it seems like a great way to, close out the year for you, just getting to open the main card, and looks like a great fight. And I mean, just Unified's been doing such great things in Canada and everything like that, being on UFC Fight Pass, and just kind of getting more into like the GTA area. Like, what was the, I guess, temperament when this, bout offer kind of came your way? It would seem like a big one.
Yeah, it was super exciting to hear that they were putting together a card in Toronto, because originally it was in Toronto. I guess it's in Mississauga now, but the fact that they were coming to Ontario, I'd always talked to my coaches and talked to my management about fighting for them at some point. But once they said they were coming here, I was like, I would love to be a part of that card, and especially with who they were talking about signing and who they were going to have the card. And now looking back, I'm looking at the card, I'm like, man, this has got to be one of the best cards I've seen in Canada ever. Outside of the UFC card. So I'm just amped that I get to go in there and open the show. It's better. I'd rather be opening the show than be co-main event or in the middle of the card. This is an opportunity for me that I couldn't be more grateful for sure.
Yeah, and it's cool seeing you and your opponent both kind of making your Unified debuts and stuff like that. But it's a very, well-informed kind of bit of matchmaking on the card too. Like, I mean, obviously, like, Sonny and all the core guys with Unified, like, know the Canadian scene well, but you can really see, like, the, fingerprints of Rob Vevers just being involved with Unified now. Like, it just looks like a very informed card with, like, the kind of Ontario talent that's on there.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, Rob's been awesome, even from working with PTC to working with Unified. He's kept me in the loop with so much shit, and he doesn't have to as a matchmaker. A lot of matchmakers will only talk to agents, but he's super upfront with me, which is something I can appreciate. When this matchup came up for the last BTC, and we tried to make it happen on 2 days' notice, but against Trimmeliti, but the commission wouldn't approve it. So, a couple days later, they got the Unified deal, and they're like, "How about you fight the same guy?" And he already agreed to it, so I was more than happy to take that matchup. I know Trimmeliti well, and we used to be training partners, so it's going to be interesting. But it'll be a good fight, and I know he's going to come ready to go.
Well, that segues into something I wanted to talk about, because obviously you have like the localized interest, or the localized insight rather, previously having trained with him, but also in a competitive situation like Kyron Cameron, getting in that work with him, fighting him a pair of times, both AMI and professional. Like, obviously you guys have different attributes and stuff like that, but have you gotten any insights from Kyron on that particular fight, or have you not really navigated the preparation like that?
To be honest, man, like, Kyron fought him 4 years ago. I saw both those fights live, but I found more, because I've been training with Julius probably once a week for the last 3-4 months, and then even during COVID, I was training with him.
Oh, damn.
So, like, I have lost... Sorry?
I was just saying, oh, damn, like, you have even more, like, recent insights than he would there. I guess I didn't know the timeline that you guys trained.
Oh, yeah, we had been training the last... we actually still train in the same gym every Saturday. He's at BTC sparring, and so am I. We have our own camps there, and it's quite a wild situation that we got going on, but you make it work. And he used to be a training partner, but he asked for this fight for whatever reason. So I don't know what he was thinking, but if a training partner that asks for that fight, you be the first one to take it, especially with, I think, stylistically the matchup is.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, obviously you don't have to get into the specifics of what the game plan would be, but I mean, I feel like you have that like direct kind of information having like, I mean, I would presume based on what you're saying, like he was there sparring days, like maybe you guys got in some rounds, but it's an interesting kind of thing how the perceptions can go with that kind of stuff. Like maybe in a way he feels like he saw something where he thinks he can get the jump on you, but I imagine you're, seeing similar like openings in your own kind of regard. So interesting in that sense.
100%, man. And that's the beauty of this game, right? You see something in an opponent, you're going to try to exploit it. And same with me, and that's why it's like, it's crazy because I know Julius's fighting style to a T, and he knows mine. And so that's the fun part, because this is going to be a banger, because there's going to be no feeling out process. We know each other. We know how we fight. We know how we act when we're tired. We know each other in a pretty understandable way in a mutual understanding between each other. So I think this is going to be a case for some fireworks.
Yeah, and as much as like MMA is an individual sport competitively, it must be cool to also be working alongside certain people who will be competing on the same event, just like Scott Hudson being a longtime training compatriot of yours. I imagine the, vibe in some of the rooms you're getting in work, like Aegis MMA specifically, would be pretty good.
Oh, it's great, man. It's nothing better than you and your teammates going to war together. It is an individual sport, but it's not at the same time. Because, I might be getting in a cage by myself, my coaches are there, and, at the end of the day, the work's already done by the time you get in there. Yes, you have to perform, but, that 95% of the work is done. Now you just got to get the other 5%, and you just got to let it all hang out. So that the beautiful part of fighting alongside your training partners and guys who, Scott's the co-main event. We got TJ Guthro in the room a lot. We got Vlad. There's a lot of our guys going to war, and this is, they build that sense of that energy in the room is just nuts. Like I just came from Niagara Top Team, and we have about 5 or 6 guys fighting on that card, on the Unified card in the room, and it's electric. You get there's no better energy that you can find in any room in Canada right now.
Yeah, I love the gym culture and the Ontario area and stuff like that, like Niagara Top Team you mentioned, like BTC. Obviously, we've talked about Aegis MMA a bit. So, yeah, just like really the best of the best in the province and really by proxy the country getting in that work. But, talking about gyms and gyms on the rise and stuff like that, I thought it was cool to see that you were, a coach now at Combat Clinic and, seeing Scott Hudson try to, get things rolling with that there. Like, how has that whole experience been?
It's awesome, man. It's like, we were training in our COVID bunker for so long, and it was great for the time being, but, Scott is preparing for the next 10 years of his life, and he opened this beautiful facility, and I'm just so grateful to be able to coach and run my business out of there. That, this is great, because me and Scott, we train together every day, we know each other so well, so it's like, it's the best position to be in. Especially, you can get extra training sessions in, I'll teach you a class and he'll jump in, he'll teach class, I'll jump in. It's great, and to be able to build the next generation of martial artists, is just to be a part of that as well is amazing, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it seems like you have that foresight as well. Just thinking of business endeavors that you're getting involved in, like Fit Method Burlington being the co-owner and whatnot. So yeah, that's awesome to see that foresight and everything like that as you're concurrently moving along in your MMA career.
For sure, man. For sure. You build your own brand, and everything else, the stock rises with it. So I'm just putting all of my energy, all of my effort into my training and into the gym, because I know that at the end of the day, the business is going to grow. My professional career is going to grow, and I just have to keep on that grind. And, there's no other lifestyle I want to live.
Yeah, I love hearing that, man. It really does come across and how you pursue it and how you make it like a lifestyle thing and whatnot. And I guess one of the last questions I had here, not overlooking this next task, obviously, but you strike me as like a goal-oriented kind of guy. Like if you were to, get your most ideal outcome in this next one, what would the goals be for 2023? As we're kind of getting close to the end of the year, do you have certain mapped out goals for the new year?
Yeah, man. This is at the end of this year, hopefully I'll be 5-1. I see I'm ready to, and then I'll have, hopefully 3 or 4 fights next year. I want next year to be the most active year that I've ever had. I had 2 fights last year. I had 3 fights. I'll have 4 fights next year, and hopefully by the end of the year, I'll have a big contract to be able to fight and actually be able to afford to train more and more. That's the dream, is to get a big contract, whether that's with Contender or whether it's a Bellator or a PF. I really don't care where it is. I want an opportunity to step outside my comfort zone, outside of the regional circuit. Hopefully by the end of 2023. That's been my main goal.
Yeah, I mean, a myriad of great options there. And I mean, you referenced Bellator. I mean, seems like another regular training partner of yours, Aaron Jeffrey, has been making some huge waves there. I mean, no surprise to me, obviously, but just, yeah, it seems like an exciting time for the career and everything like that. So, yeah, you'll love to see it.
Yeah, man, yeah, for sure. And being in the room with those guys, I can remember 2 years ago, AJ was struggling in the Contender Series, and I remember seeing him as like the best athlete I could ever imagine. But now seeing his success, I'm like, if AJ can grind through all the things that he struggled with, anyone can. And you know what? AJ's an animal, and he's worked through some of the biggest challenges I've ever seen. So you know what? No matter the challenges I face, I know that I can beat it because I'm surrounded by guys that have done that.
Yeah, I mean, you love to see like that level of like top-notch, like I guess athletic attributes, but also like the strong mindset to underpin it too. Seems like a best of both worlds situation. But you've been really great with your time, Bobby. Happy to talk with you a bit before this next fight, but I do want to be mindful of the rest of your schedule too and everything. So to that point, is there anything you might want to like add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up here, man?
No, man. So I appreciate you moving around the schedule. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, but I'm just excited to be scrapping on the biggest card in Canada coming up. So I'm hoping that you're making out there, Dylan, and it's nice talking to you.
Yeah, very much going to be there. I already messaged Rob about the press credentials and everything, but yeah, people should definitely check out Unified MMA 48 on December 16th, especially if they're in the greater Toronto area. But if they're not, UFC Fight Pass, a great way to check that out too. And yeah, really excited to see this fight with Julius Trimmeliti and just a cool, interesting backstory to it. So I appreciate the insights in that regard, and just, yeah, looking forward to being there at the event and seeing the fight. And you enjoy the rest of your day too, Bobby.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me on.